So where were we? All right. Balticon survived Saturday. It's now Sunday, middle of the day, and let's pick up where we left off. First of all, yesterday I was able to get Joe Haldeman's autograph and got to meet the man. It was brief. I'm not a huge fan, haven't read every book he's ever written, but he's a grandmaster of the genre, and it was a privilege to meet him and get his autograph. Went to a few panels yesterday, starting off with Make Your Book Shine, and got a few tips on formatting the book. And one thing they gave me to take away was the tip that maybe Microsoft Word is not the best tool to be writing and editing in the age of the ebook. And they recommended something called Atlantis that I might check out for myself. I mean, there's a $10 trial offer, so I might try that. The advantage is that it doesn't put in all of the extraneous code into HTML that Word does, and that clutters things up and makes life hell for who's ever trying to format it for an EPUB or a MOBI version. I ran this past the people at Rebel Publishers, who are the people who represent the anthology I compiled, called Age of Certainty, and my two novels, Land That I Love and in the midst of coming out, Mighty Mighty. Just drop by the Rebel Publishers site. Anyway, they said that they had heard about Atlantis, and it's probably pretty good but they have already gone through and written the algorithms to take the crap out of Word. So if you were self-pubbing, and perhaps even if you're just starting out self-pubbing, consider writing in Atlantis rather than Word. It'll save you a bunch of time and trouble later. Okay, pushing on, went to a reading after that panel. A friend of mine, Michael Ventrella, who writes some lighthearted stuff. I think he's primarily a game developer, but he has written some fiction, and I hadn't read any of his stuff before. He's a good guy. I've seen him at all the conventions. I never actually read a word of what he wrote, but I'm going to change that because he gave a fantastic reading, a satirical take on the stuff that Dan Brown takes way too seriously, and it was a lot of fun. He managed to upstage to some extent Mira Lafferty, whose stuff I also have not read up to now, but I'm definitely going to change that. She's got something new out called The Shambling Guide to New York, and it's thematically very similar to Comedy Central's Ugly Americans or the Men in Black franchise. Monsters are real, and they're living and working and visiting Manhattan, and there's the Public Works Department that is protecting us from them. All right, so anyway, that'll look pretty interesting. Katie Pinto was a no-show. I don't know what the story is there. She's a perennial at Balticon, and I trust she's in good health. She's been posting a lot online, hasn't mentioned any health issues, and she would certainly whine about it if she was experiencing any. She hasn't mentioned Balticon either, so maybe there's some dirt. I don't know. I'll let her dish it if there is. Okay, so I went to another panel after that, Nurturing Online Communities, moderated by Patrick Scaffido, Scaffido? I don't know. And anyway, he complimented me on a question that I asked his panel, because they were starting to talk about what they're doing on Pinterest and Google Plus, and I raised my hand way in the back there and asked, "All right, I see why you're on Facebook. You have to be. You have to be on Facebook. You have to be on Twitter. You have to have your own site or at least your own blog, and that's table stakes. I get it. But do you remember MySpace, and do you remember Friendster and Bolt.com and all these other early social media, or what they were first called portal sites? They all crashed and burned. So why invest time, effort, energy into Google Plus and Pinterest and Reddit and Tumblr and all these other things that might just be a flash in the pan? And they said, well, you kind of have to. You never know what the next big thing is going to be to take off. So you at least have got to get your domain in there, and maybe you don't want to pay a lot of attention to it at first, but if that's where your readers gravitate to, you've got to jump on it. So that was an interesting perspective. It's hard for me just to keep up with what I am paying attention to. So I don't know if I can go that far, but some people are doing it. They're very successful. All right. So what else we got here? Oh yeah, that was about it for the panels. Then came the real convention, the rounds of the parties, and started out having cocktails with Gail Z. Martin and a new friend, Jean Marie Ward, and I think there might be some exposure for my work down the line coming out of that share in a bottle, but we'll see. I count no chickens before they're hatched, and I certainly don't want to put anyone on the spot. I ended up supporting Helsinki 2015 WorldCon, and that was mainly on the strength of the presentation of two people. I thought I had that on mute. I'm sorry. The bid chairman, Emily. Apparently, Emily is a masculine name in Finnish. Emily Aro and Crystal, which is a feminine name in English. She put Chaya on her badge, which I thought was pretty cool. It was my great grandmother's name. Then let's see. Let's see. Late night. There was an unscheduled erotic Mad Lib hosted by Starla Hutchton and the aforementioned Patrick Scaffado. Also in attendance were a couple of ladies from Pendragon Variety, Scribe and Rosemary, who I kept crossing paths with all day yesterday. Very nice young ladies, and had a good time. It was a pretty sick and twisted Mad Lib that involved a lot of animals and farm implements, and that's as much as you need to know. So I kind of called it an early night because in the morning there was a session on humorous sci-fi that I wanted to attend. The moderator, Alex Schwartzman, was the only one who really identifies himself as a humorist on the panel. Everyone else considered themselves a genre writer whose humor has infused their work, but they concentrate. They consider themselves storytellers, not joke tellers, and they kind of soft pedal their humor, but they do have very keen senses of humor. I had a nice long caffeine-fueled chat afterwards with one of the panelists by the name of Stephanie Burke, a local Baltimorean who also goes by Flash, and We talked about the state of the craft and all the people we know in common, and some of whom made cameo appearances in this discussion in the middle of the Hunt Valley and lobby. But Flash and I seem to have very much the same sense of humor, and I think that's telling here. I used to think that I was unique in that I consider myself a satirist who uses science fiction and fantasy tropes rather than being a science fiction or fantasy writer. And I'm finding out that that is not the case. Maybe it was at one point, but that's in the rearview mirror, to be sure. But I mean, between the humorous readings yesterday and that panel this morning, I'm finding out very keenly that although a lot of genre geeks are way too earnest and they see drama and the hero's tale unreconstructed, the hero's journey totally the only way to tell a story, and and because humor is so subjective, so many editors and so many agents are just so skittish about it. But there are other people who write in the same vein as I write, and it's great that there's this community of people who do this, and for reasons I might get to in another posting, our time to shine might be coming, so I better step up my game. In the meantime, I'm going to spend the rest of the day here at Balticon. I'm going to go to the screenwriting panel, and apparently there's a shadow play version of The Avengers, and Flash is going to be in it. She's going to be dressed up half like Morpheus from The Matrix and half like the bass player from Josie and the Pussycats, put on an eye patch and call herself Nick Fury. Okay, we'll see how that goes. There's also a marketing and promotions session with some people I know from the con circuit whose opinions I really respect, and I definitely want to hear what they have to say. And there's some about Doctor Who and favorite companions, and they concentrate on the 4th, 5th, and 6th Doctors. So I'm certainly, my favorite Doctor was Peter Davison. Well, Christopher Eccleston, I'll never forgive him for only doing one season, but classic Who, Peter Davidson's my favorite. And certainly Tegan was my favorite companion from back then. I think I would have liked Perry better if she hadn't been associated with Colin Baker, who just made me sick to my stomach. So anyway, be able to geek out about that tonight. And then there's more parties, and there's a panel tomorrow I'm really excited about going to. I'll talk more about that when I post tomorrow. In the meantime, remember, my name is William Freedman. I am the author of Land That I Love and Mighty Mighty, available from Reveille Publishers on Amazon, and also the editor of Age of Certainty, and you can pick that up at Amazon too. So I'll talk to you tomorrow.